Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 5 and episode number. I'm going to have to take a little check there, 744 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, and it is a rainy day here at the Beaver Lodge. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver Ray, and not with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Got an interesting show for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Prime Minister's trip to Mexico last week, as well as the Prime Minister being in New York City pitching Canada during an address to the Council on Foreign Relations, in which the Prime Minister did us rather proud, I would have to say, having watched it. And finally, we will talk about two emerging scandals affecting elected officials within the conservative movement. One basically affecting the person directly, and maybe not so much the party or anything. Because the party did what it needed to do to limit damage, and one out in BC that could end up being something rather substantive down the road, because shady doesn't even begin to explain it. All right, kids and cubs, how is your mental health doing today? Mine is doing rather well because yesterday the weather did clear up long enough for us to be able to play some tennis yesterday. So I was able to get the match in. And I played a young lady who I had played just soon after I'd come back after my breaking my foot, who had defeated me 8-5, but I found was very fast around the court and extremely good at redirecting the ball, particularly with pace. And I always wondered if I had my full capacity, what kind of match it would be. Well, I'm not sure if I'm at 100% my full capacity, but close to it anyway at the moment. And we played yesterday, and I was down 3-0 very quickly, very quickly. And I thought, oh my God, how is it that if I'm playing better overall, that I'm getting a worse result? And then after that, I strung together 4 in a row. And it was up 4-3, and then we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it ended 8-7 for me. So I won. Ah! And we have a competitive ladder at our club. We have recreational ladders, but we have a competitive ladder, and I didn't get to play on it um, most of the summer at all. And this year, I got to play. There was one playing got when I just came back to the game, so I played there, but didn't win any matches. Got a couple of ties though, but didn't win anything. And ties are recorded officially on the score sheet as losses because you didn't win. So it's not a win. So I had I'm listed on the competitive ladder as having 6 consecutive losses, and yesterday I got my first win. Yay! In fact, I think I might have gotten my first win on a competitive ladder since I joined the club, actually. That was fun. So my game is, getting better. My foot was very, very sore, though, however. So I think after, 2 days of dancing, 2 days with dancing on Saturday and Sunday and just blocking, and then, Monday, some tennis where, when I decided that, I had nothing left to lose, I would turn it on. I maybe ran a little harder. Um, so I felt it after I'd been feeling my foot the last few days. Again, nothing major, just feeling it. It's like, "Why are you doing that to me?" Sort of feeling. But I got my win. Boom. So, I'm not gonna say I'm back, babies, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Yay me. Um, also, um, well, you know what? That's pretty much the main part, actually. We didn't get to rehearsal last night. Unfortunately, there's a bug going around, and it caught one of the members of the cast and cast and crew, and at least 4 of us have it now. So rehearsal was canceled yesterday, and everyone, take a little distance so that we don't wipe out the whole group. So yeah, that was I appreciate the extra night off, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit of bummer. It's a little too early in the rehearsal schedule. It's only our 5th full rehearsal to get a night off. Maybe like a month and a half in when we're a little tired. It would have been a little more welcome. But yes, no rehearsal last night. Yeah, that was a bit of a bummer too, but that's okay. And I'm also in a good mood because today, and it's going to be a shorter show today, I finally have, for the first time in probably over 15 years, an appointment with a potential family doctor that might be mine. So keep your fingers crossed for me. It's sort of a meet and greet appointment where we sort of talk and sort of feel each other out, I guess, and hoping that I get put on the roster because I've been waiting for a damn long time. Oh boy. My family doctor had originally retired, and the clinic where I wasn't assigned a new one. And then I tried to find a new one for the longest time, and then we moved. So and then I was in another city, and I've been here 10 years in this city without a family doctor. So fingers crossed that I now have one because I need all the tests. It's been a while. Um, so yes, we'll be doing that later this morning. So yes, let's hope that everything goes well and that we are comfortable enough with each other that we decide to work together going forward. Because yeah, I'm in my 50s now. Everybody should have a family doctor and see them regularly, but uh, I didn't have as much need from like 35 to 50, but now, I'm 50 and things pop up. So, all right, kids and cubs, let's see who is in the chat today. Look into the magic monitor, and who do we have with us? We have Kit Grace saying good morning, DAMFAM. We have Kit Elaine as well saying good morning. We have Kit PNC Bio here, who's here for the scandal. Ooh. We have Kit Uncover with us. Good morning to you. We also have Kit Linda M saying good morning. We have the Breens with us today. We have Kit Bucky saying good morning all. Good timing, eh? We have Kit Jason. Hello. Nice to see you saying good morning. We have also, let's see, who else? We have Miss Shadika with us. Hello to you and hello to family. Hope everything's going well. I think Mateo must be back on track now. Please give him a big hug and as well as one to Rain and Jazzy for us. Thank you so much. Who else do we have here? We have Kit. I think I mentioned Kit Bucky already, but if I haven't, good morning to you. And if I have, you do deserve to be mentioned twice. So good morning. Good morning. We have Kit Toronto Dan here saying 6 more days. Mental health is great. Physically, I feel 103. Let's go. Rain, rain, go away just till Monday morning. So working hard in his ward, making sure that his candidate is going to do well in the by-election. Who else do we have? We have Kit Jenny saying good morning, everyone, and good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us again. Kit Lori Sue is here. Hello, dear one. Giving you a big hug. Hope everything is going as well as it can be, given the circumstances, of course. Um, who else do we have with us? We have Kit Tabby G saying good morning. We have Kit Kat as well saying good morning, and that's everybody sliding under the plate, sliding by the plate. Uh, for the game is played. Woohoo! Is called, I should say. Okay. We have a Beaver dad joke from Kid Uncover. Let's see. Why did Beaver refuse to work with Trump? Because Trump kept insisting that dams should be gold plated. Oh, yuck, kitschy. Ugh. And because I like him so much, we'll make an exception and we'll say good morning to Kit Chris, who comes in with a good morning. Oh yes, yes, yes. Uh, th- a lot of people talking about the rapture. the yeah. Um, Somebody asked me what I was doing for the rapture, and I said, "Well, of course, dancing to Blondie." Doom, doom, boo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, boop, boo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. And then somebody was asking, "Well, what do you bring for the potluck at the rapture?" And I said, "Well, deviled eggs, of course." I still haven't figured out how you know if you've been raptured or not. Oh, well. Not exactly my primary concern. I'd I'm not exactly sure how it all works, but I'm either definitely on the list or definitely not on the list. 'Cause I'm a rather lapsed Catholic, I must say. Okay. I was baptized Catholic, and then I don't know, it's like an organ transplant, I didn't take it, I just kinda rejected it somehow. Alright, kids and cubs. Ah, yes, of course, maybe angel food cake as well. Yes, you could definitely bring that to Rapture Potluck. Ah, you kids and cubs, I love it when you always play along. So yes, I guess we'll find out if the rapture happens, but if it doesn't, don't worry, the next one is scheduled, and so is the one after that, and the one after that, I'm sure. Okay, kids and cubs, let's get into it today. You know what? Given that, as you know, kids and cubs, that petty is my favorite color, why not start with the scandal since you've come here for the juicy stuff? Anyway, I know. There are two issues happening here. The first one is in the province of Ontario itself. There is an MPP from the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario caucus who has been given the boot, and it seems for rather good reason here. This is Eric White from CBC News saying Northern Ontario MPP Chris Scott is no longer a member of Premier Doug Ford's Progressive Conservative caucus after he was charged with assault and assault with a weapon over the weekend. Yeah, that is some major charges here. So we'll have here, there's Mr. Scott for you. So you can check him out there. So this is I was going to say gentleman, but I would probably be using that word very loosely at the moment. The Premier's office said in an email Monday that Scott is no longer a caucus member. No reason was given. So that's what we found out first on the web. I saw a post from a journalist, Laura Stone, indicating no reason was given, and then right away, immediately under, we deserve to know, which of course we do. But uh, given the charges, I can see why the Premier's office probably didn't want to get more involved than actually just saying that. Later in the morning, the Premier was asked about Scott's exit during a news conference in Eastern Ontario. Quote, "You know something? I would go there to say sorry. You know something? I would go to the Sault Ste. Marie police. I was informed literally in the parking lot as we were going through here," Ford told reporters. "Yeah, go to the Sault Ste. Marie police. I don't want to interfere in a police investigation." Uh-huh, said Doug Ford. "Okay, sure, buddy. You don't wanna invest interfere into a police investigation. That's why you really wanted Mr. Taverner to be the head of the OPP. Like really, 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 really wanted him to be the head of the OPP. But yeah, you don't want to interfere in police stuff at all. No, no, you have no history of making comments on cases that are active in any way, shape, or form. Now, do you? No, not at all. Okay. This is what we're supposed to believe. Uh, you could just, you rather could have just said, Doug, it would be more credible. You know, uh, the, that this is a very sensitive matter, and it's not for you to sensationalize. That might have been slightly more credible than you don't want to interfere in a police investigation. You're all over interfering with the police, dude. I mean, come on. The Sault Ste. Marie courthouse confirms Scott now faces those charges following an incident on Friday in the northeastern Ontario city. He was released from custody after a court appearance on Monday morning, promising to abide by certain conditions, including not to contact specific people connected to the incident. Sault Ste. Marie police had earlier said Scott was arrested by Toronto police, but the extent of their involvement is not clear. Scott was first elected as the Sault Ste. Marie MVP in February Ontario's election, defeating New Democrat candidate Lisa Vezo-Allen by just 114 votes. The 35-year-old is not originally from Sault Ste. Marie, but worked in Ford's office as a special advisor to the chief of staff. Scott also worked in the office of former Conservative MP Ross Romano when he was an Ontario cabinet minister. So that is what we have from CBC. Not sure if there's any more additional details at the moment because it does seem to be a rather contained story. Um, uh, Premier Doug Ford is often said um, was also reported as saying, well, when asked about his removal, well, Chris will no longer be sitting with our caucus. You can ask Chris Scott the reason why. So ask Chris Scott, ask the Sault Ste. Marie police, just don't ask me. So, yeah, it seems that Doug Ford does not want to talk about this at all. Sault Ste. Marie police confirmed soon after Scott had been arrested on Sunday by officers in Toronto. They didn't say what he had been charged with. All the statement said was, quote, on September 21st, 2025, the Toronto Police Service arrested 35-year-old Chris Van Scott, also known as Chris Scott, following an investigation by detectives with the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service. Police did not publish any information about the charges or the investigation. They said no other details would be released to, quote, protect the privacy of the victims. The Sault Ste. Marie victim or victims. The Sault Ste. Marie court told Global News Scott appeared for bail on Monday and was granted release under a promise to pay $5,000. He was charged with assault and assault with a weapon. Toronto police who made the arrest confirmed they had acted on a, quote, out-of-town arrest warrant, referring all other questions to Sault Ste. Marie. Uh, Being removed from his caucus does not remove Scott as an MPP. Instead, he automatically crosses the aisles to sit as an independent member. His removal is unlikely to have a material impact on the government's ability to pass legislation. Without Scott or Speaker Donna Skelly, the Progressive Conservatives still have 78 seats in the 124-seat legislature, and Scott is due back in court on October 22nd. So that is the first of the two. The second of the two, however, is a rather big deal. I mean, they're both big deals, but the second one, this one is like contained. It's MPP behaved badly, hopefully while not serving in his capacity as an MPP. But I mean, this is if we're talking about assault. Um, you should not be doing that at all. MPP or not, right? Assault with a weapon. You really should not be doing that at all. uh, this one is somebody behaved improperly, and the party quickly removed them from caucus, and that'll probably be the extent of the political story here, unless you know things get really bad, then if more information comes out and things get really bad or the trial doesn't go well, then there might be a cause for resignation of the seat down the road that would provoke a by-election. But in terms of the politics of it, that would be the extent of it. Um, Depending on when we find if and when we find out, let's say, for example, it was an assault on someone of another gender than his. Let's say it was an assault on someone who might have been an intimate partner. There might be other issues or people that try to make some political linkages between a movement that talks about men going their own way and that particular incident. Why does this political movement always seem to attract these kind of people? That type of stuff. There might be some political attempts at that. But at the current moment, given that we do not know anything, there is no other political story other than he has been ejected from caucus, and everybody i- is somewhat embarrassed in some way by the fact that he had been there. So we'll see what further developments come from that. But in this one potentially has some legs that can create a problem and create a problem for dear old recycled alleged leader of the official opposition, Rerun Polyev. And this happened out in British Columbia during one of those by-elections. Uh, One of those three by-elections near the end of Trudeau's term that did not go the Liberals' way, and that made the drum beat get louder and louder for his departure. But according to John Hernandez of CBC News, when Yaniska Kapech decided to leave Thailand to study digital media at a private BC college, she never expected it would lead to her knocking on doors and handing out flyers in support of a federal conservative candidate. Think you can see where this is going already. The 25-year-old traveled to Canada to study at Pacific Link College, a private college in Metro Vancouver. In December 2024, the school course's in class instruction was put on pause so students could work at Conservative candidate Tamara Jansen's campaign office during a federal by election, she told CBC News. According to email correspondence reviewed by CBC News, the volunteer campaign work was framed as a component of their digital media course, with one campus director suggesting it would even help them get permanent residency. So, if you're following this so far, and that's just the first three paragraphs, number one, all these professional colleges that sort of popped up, bringing in international students. And then those international students were taken away from their courses in order to work on the election campaign of a conservative candidate, federal conservative candidate, during a by election. And somewhere along the way, at least one campus director linked that help for that conservative candidate to, for some of them, their potential desire to want to remain in Canada as a permanent residency, thus creating the impression that if you volunteer for this candidate and let's say this party, which at the time I'm sure was riding high in the polls and was looking like it would be more likely to form the government, well, your permanent residency might get a little extra favorable attention should that party win. Yeah, this is gross and wholly unethical. The article continues, quote, "We felt it didn't relate to our studies and we didn't know why we had to do this for them and we also didn't know who Tamara was," Capetcha said. Jansen won the by-election and currently serves as a member of parliament for the Cloverdale-Langley City riding. Capetch is one of two former students at Pacific Link College who told CBC News the school required their classwork on the campaign, which included door knocking. Both students shared their email exchanges with school staff and photos of their participation. The second student has filed a formal complaint against the school over their involvement in the campaign and the overall quality of the program's education, did not wish to be identified publicly due to concerns about their uncertain immigration status. Because if helping could definitely help your immigration status, once the candidate wins and the party that she represents wins in the next federal election. If the government might be looking favorably upon you for doing that, well, if you don't help or rat them out, well, maybe that would affect your immigration status adversely. Now, these are things that some international students might be inclined to believe are true that happen in Canada because these types of things do happen in some other nations. So there, people who did this played on some of their fears or what they know to be true. My Beaver Sweetie once told me a story of some people he knew who also came here from Romania. That when they had gotten stopped by the police, were just wondering like, how much is it going to cost them? Because, well, in their home country, you just asked the police how much is it going to cost you, and then you gave them the money, and then the thing would go away. And then, the police said, "Well, you trying to bribe me?" And then, that kind of charge came up, and he says, "Well," it was like, "Isn't that?" They went to court and they testified. Well, isn't that what you do when a cop stops you over and says you did something? You ask them how much they want because that's been our experience our entire lives. They were just doing here what they learned to do at home because that's what you do. So if there are some students that came here from nations where, if you engage in this type of activity, you might be looking, you might get some extra favors. Well, then that kind of plays into that psychological element, doesn't it? So it's particularly insidious and abusive. Both students said they only attended one day of campaigning before telling the school they didn't believe it was related to their studies and never went back. A representative from Pacific Link College denied the allegations, claiming that while the school does offer students volunteer opportunities for both community and political organizations, the roles are entirely optional. The school says it has no political affiliations. Yeah, and that's why all the students were asked to volunteer for Jensen's office and weren't spread out because it was a by-election, right? There were candidates running from different parties. If some were at Jansen's office, and some were at the Liberal candidate's office, and some were at the NDP candidate's office, and some were at the Green candidate's office, you could say, yeah, well, it was an overall program to get experience, and you just drew out of a hat, where they were going. But they all went to just one. So it's kind of hard to say that the school has no political affiliations and that the roles are entirely optional if you've got another director linking them to their possibility to remain in Canada if that's something that they would like to do after they graduate. Surprisingly, my editorial edition, Jansen's office said it was unaware of the school's involvement in the campaign. A representative said by-election campaigns are typically managed by federal party staff. CBC News students start appearing at your office to work for you. This and you just you you have no idea how that came to be. This particular office at this school or particular person who organized this says that you guys got to do this. Maybe it'll even help you with your permanent residency, and which is also something not new uh, within conservative circles. There have been previous scandals in the past that have tried to link those two concepts together in the conservative fold. But yeah, for some reason, the office is completely unaware how they got this surge of volunteer staff. Hmm. Okay. Um, I'm guessing here it doesn't say that the Conservative Party hasn't reached back, but there's nothing there. The province did not comment on the case, but said enforcement actions can be taken against schools that compel students to participate in activities that aren't aligned with their learning objectives. Enforcement actions include monetary penalties and even license suspension or revocation. Well, just because they can doesn't mean they are. Both students Now, of course, the college says that this type of stuff was optional, but according to both students, they said they were informed of the campaign in class by their instructor, who later emailed them further details on December 1st, 2024. Don't you love it when they leave a paper trail? The email shared with CBC News from both students tells the class that their subsequent 2 weeks of classes would instead involve, quote, an in person campaign, and they were told to meet at Tamara Jansen's campaign office in the city of Langley. The entire class working for one candidate. A second email sent later by school administrator Suraj Roy tells students their attendance is required at the campaign office from December 6th to 9th and December 13th to 16th for 4 to 5 hours each day. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 days, 13, 14, 15, 16, 8 days, 8 days for 4 to 5 hours each. Wow. So 32 to 40 volunteer hours per student, just magically going directly to her office under fraudulent pretenses, and she has no idea how it happened. Mhm. Students who wanted oh, yes, sorry. The not only did the second email say that their attendance is required, but the email also says they are required to submit photo proof that they were at the office and actively working. That came in convenient for the two students who complained, given that they already had the photos of them working out there because they had to supply them. I love it when they leave a paper trail and they make the people that they're using to do things that they should not be doing uh, generate additional evidence. That was smart. You were thinking. Students who wanted to opt out were told to obtain permission from campus director Aaron DePenha. If we didn't attend the activities, we would be marked as absent and it would affect our attendance and we might not pass our course. And if you don't pass your course, that too might affect your immigration status. Just all these little elements of coercion and compelling, all documented. Way to go. Um, According to email shared with CBC News upon arrival at campaign headquarters, students were to tell staff that they were sent by the Indo Pacific Foundation of Canada. Pacific Link College President and CEO Tarun Kular is listed as a senior cabinet member on. Let's try that again. Pacific Link College President and CEO Tarun Kular is listed as a senior cabinet member on IPFC's website. CBC has reached out to the IPFC for comment. It doesn't say whether or not they did, so I'm guessing that they didn't. So here we have the college president and CEO is a senior cabinet minister on the Indo Pacific Foundation of Canada's website, and the students were told in the email when they arrived at the campaign headquarters to say they were sent there by Indo Pacific Foundation of Canada, not by the college. Hmm. No wonder Miss Jansen didn't know how these kids got here. It's not the college who sent them, it's the Indo Pacific Foundation of Canada, of which a senior cabinet member also happens to be the president and CEO of the college. But we have no idea how this happened. Mhm. Sure. Both students said they spent the day working inside a campaign headquarters before traveling to different neighborhoods with campaign staff, where they knocked on doors and handed out flyers informing residents of advance voting. In a series of emails over 2 days, students, including Capech, expressed concerns with school staff over travel to the campaign office and its relevance to their coursework. Quote, could you please clarify how this volunteer activity is related to our studies in digital media marketing? Capech wrote to administrators. During the volunteer session, we were asked to fold envelopes and go door to door promoting an upcoming election for a political party we know nothing about, which seems unrelated to our studies, she wrote. School staff responded telling students the program was meant to teach them about community engagement and promotional strategies. Yes, because they couldn't learn about community engagement, for example, using their digital marketing tools or skills to, I don't know, promote a fundraiser for cancer or to promote an arts fundraiser or to promote a local community theater that was staging a play. No, it had to be done for a political campaign in which their digital marketing skills were used to stuff envelopes and deliver information on advanced voting by hand, going door to door. Digital marketing, but they're going door to door and doing analog promotion. Yeah, totally natural. Teach them about community engagement and promotional strategies. They want to learn about digital promotional strategies. Digital. Yeah. In a letter email, campus director Depenha told Capetch directly, the volunteer activity is a mandatory component of the course because it offers hands-on experience relevant to your learning objectives. Which ones? Seriously. How does stuffing envelopes and going door to door, uh, telling people about advanced voting, offer hands-on experience relevant to learning objectives in digital marketing? These people. Capet responded saying, we are being forced to volunteer and the tasks involve working for a specific political party. How can this be called volunteering? It's more like some voluntolding. In a follow-up email, the Pena replied, quote, it is evident you cannot comprehend how beneficial this is for you in your journey to become Canadian. This is not our loss. Please attend your class in person at the campus. Well, well, well. Someone got a little touchy. It's obvious you cannot comprehend. Hey, dumbass. If you want to become Canadian, this is what you got to do. Well, if you don't want that, not our loss. Get your ass back in class. So, gaslighting, again, making the direct link between doing that work and becoming Canadian. And then treating her with disdain. Well, if you don't want to be on a bus, fuck you. Capetch later clarified that she didn't intend on moving to Canada permanently, to which Depenha responded, quote, the reason I said that is because an MLA's recommendation can go a long way with an application for permanent residency. Oh, does it in Canada? Does an MLA's recommendation go a long way with an application for permanent residency? Because the last I checked, uh, uh, MLAs are not asked about permanent residency applications of anyone at all in Canada. Huh. If you want your application for permanent residency to be approved, you better be nice to this MLA because, if she sees that you worked for her during that campaign, she might put in a good word and that could be helpful to you. That's literally the link they are making to young students who didn't grow up here and don't necessarily know the culture and don't necessarily know all the civics. This is dirty. Quote, in an emailed statement, the FENA denied the allegations, saying participation was voluntary. But you have all these emails that said that it's mandatory. All the emails like with from your account. But now you do, no, 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 no. It was voluntary. Hmm. Quote, volunteer opportunities have been received from several political parties, not solely from the Conservative Party. Students are free to decide whether to engage in any such activities and which opportunities they wish to pursue. But the volunteer opportunities allegedly having been received from several political parties, I would like to see proof of those volunteer opportunities that you received from those several political parties, still don't explain why it is that you chose only just one if you did receive from many political parties, that you only chose to help one. And here you say that students are free to decide whether or not to engage in such activities, but you got emails saying that their presence is mandatory. And when challenged on it, you respond, "Well, I think you're too dumb to understand how this can be good for you." And then you link it specifically to their ability to stay in Canada. But then when you're asked about it in a statement, oh, then your story is the complete opposite of what you told the students and of what actually went down, and you expect we will not notice. This is the Penha person is not the sharpest butter knife in the drawer. DePena said the school considers itself politically neutral. Uh-huh. And of those many volunteer opportunities that you received from several political parties, you chose to help just one. But the school is politically neutral. Okay, the school, let's just say for shits and giggles that the school is politically neutral. You clearly are not. And it was your course. Quote, these allegations are false, and we view them as an attempt to undermine the college's goodwill and establish processes for student success. Pacific Link College remains committed to providing an inclusive learning environment and respects every student's right to make their own choices about extracurricular involvement, DePenha wrote. And I'm still wondering why it is that it's DePenha writing all of the stuff instead of the president and CEO, Tarun Kular. Shouldn't it be the college president and CEO that is responding to questions about what the school's political position is, whether it is neutral or not, and whether or not the allegations are false? CBC News asked Pennant to clarify what he meant when suggesting a political's recommendation could benefit a permanent residency application, to which he responded, quote, recommendation letters about volunteer opportunities add value to a student's overall resume. Surrey-based immigration lawyer Marina Sadai says pathways to permanent residency are typically through work experience, not political recommendation. Quote, getting a member of parliament or an MLA's letter of recommendation, for example, has absolutely no bearing on whether one qualifies for permanent residence and certainly should not or would not lead to any favoritism, Sadai said. And it probably ends up in a lot of problems for the um, probably the elected official to write one, I would assume, unless it has to be written in a very specific way. The second student has filed a dispute against the school seeking a tuition refund. His claim through BC's Private Training Institutions Regulatory Unit, PTIRU, cites poor quality of education and involvement in the political campaign as reasons for a tuition refund of $11,910. The complaint is currently under review. The college has responded to it and denied the allegations, according to the documents reviewed by CBC News. The college claimed it had no record of the complainant being there and said participation in the campaign was voluntary to all students. Now, the students seem to have had a different impression. Balraj Kalan, an advocate with the international student rights group One Voice Canada, is representing the complainant in the dispute. He previously represented a Pacific Link student who was awarded over $7,000 in tuition refunds following a dispute with the school in October 2024, according to documents reviewed by CBC News. Kalan said it could be difficult for students to stand up against private schools when they feel like they're getting shortchanged. Quote, coming into a new country and pushing back against an institution is usually quite the challenge, Kalan said. And also, a lot of international students want to obtain permanent residency here, and the path through that is education. There's a power imbalance, Kalan said. Sadai, who is also the ethics chair for the Canadian Immigration Lawyers Association, says both Ottawa and the province need to regularly inspect private schools that are designated learning institutions, a federal designation that allows schools to accept international students and grant study permits. Quote, can we have inspectors that go out into these institutions? I think yes, she said. We want international students to have quality education when they come to Canada. In a statement, the province said it will inspect schools if, quote, broader compliance issues are identified through student complaints. So, yeah. Uh, that is not how we do things in Canada. And yes, I find it very hard to believe that there is nobody in the party that understands how this little arrangement has come to be. But yeah, we deserve some answers from the Conservative Party of Canada as to what went on here and how that could possibly happen. And of course, this begs the question, well, if it happened there, and how many other such colleges did this happen? Was this a program? Were some of these colleges the licensees, or I would say the permission structure to allow them to bring in international students to populate those colleges? Were those linked to whatever college's president and CEO's willingness to engage in such activities? It could be that it's just one overzealous course professor deciding to be unscrupulous. That is possible, but it is also equally possible that it is a broader strategy. I mean, a lot of provincial premiers were handling. Uh, let, no, let me rephrase that. A lot of these colleges appeared during a certain period of time. And I also remember many provincial premiers during a certain period of time recently really begging for these students and the additional manpower, especially when we had a staffing shortage. Um, but yeah, linking, forcing international students to work on political campaigns and then claiming it was volunteer. But maybe the policy is that it was volunteer, but it certainly was not presented to the students as being volunteer. Yes, and then repeatedly making links between that, their desire to help a certain political party and candidate win, and the possibility of obtaining permanent residence or it having a favorable impact on their either current favorable or disfavorable impact on either their current immigration status or desired future one is a whole other step. And then the person creating the huge email trail of all the things saying this is required and you need to see and send a picture of yourself there, then claiming afterwards when asked by authorities and media, no, no, that's not what happened. When it seems to be very clearly what did happen. Um, I'm not sure what the point in denying it is when you sent an email saying your presence is required and prove you were there by sending us pictures. Boy, yeah, right, Kit Linda. If it were just the course instructor, you'd expect the school to have fired them by now. Like, Doug Ford got rid of that MPP and saying, yeah, this is a terrible thing. We don't know how that happened, but this person no longer works for us. But we did not hear that. Now, did we? Which would give me the impression that it's not just the course instructor, because it's really easy to make that move. It's a little less easy to make that move if you're worried that the person against whom you make that move might then start to talk. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, indeed. Kit Breens, I feel sorry for international students and embarrassed at how they are being treated. Uh, I would say so. This is this is not good. This is not good at all. So we'll see if there will be more that comes from that. I would assume that more should come from that because it links too many things, and it is, like I said, particularly a dirty play, a dirty move, because while not everyone, uh, like Miss Capetch, uh, does not necessarily want to remain in Canada or become a Canadian citizen, there's a lot of people who do. So, yeah, linking their willingness to be a good little toaster to their desire to have a future life in Canada and the ability to do so is um, it's not what advanced democracies do, particularly advanced democracies who make it a point of pride to the fact that they adhere to unalienable, internationally agreed to as being unalienable human rights. Yeah, not impressed. Stay tuned. There might be more, but somebody should be asking Skippy some very uncomfortable questions. Okay, moving on. The Prime Minister recently took a trip to Mexico, as we mentioned on the show. We had Ministers Anand and Champagne go down for a pre visit to sort of set the stage for this. Pierre Poliev mocked it, saying that we went there cap in hand and that we were rebuked totally. Of course, the feedback from the actual meetings was that they were great, super productive, and that they could lead to a one-on-one bilateral between the Prime Minister of Canada and the President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, and it indeed did. So Pierre's terrible assessment of how things went down didn't age well at all, and the meeting overall seems to have been rather productive and positive. Um, but going into it, it wasn't just about oh, yes, that was the other thing too. There were people talking about how it looks like Canada and Mexico were looking to maybe sign a free trade deal on their own that didn't include the United States and all that type of stuff. And while there's certainly a lot of strategic discussions about how do we bypass the United States, like, for example, all the goods that Canada sends to Mexico through the United States, well, given that the United States is being a little punk about a lot of couple things, Canada and Mexico had a little talk and said, you know what, rather than sending them over land, maybe we should send more stuff by by boat and by a plane. Yeah, sure, let's make that happen. Because that way we'll reduce costs. Because if there's an import tax coming in, right, for everything that we send down, let's just take that out of the price structure by going around the United States. There's also the fact that Canada and Mexico, even if Kuzma or NAFTA 2 whatnot fell apart, we are still linked together through the CPTPP because we are both Pacific nations with a Pacific coast. So we do have NAFTA too between Canada and Mexico, but we also have CPTPP. So if that thing blows up, Canada and Mexico still have a bilateral relationship. There is no need to. Well, we still have a trade relationship through another international treaty. There's no need to actually, create a specific treaty between us two. Um, you know, we are committed to a tripartite deal. The United States doesn't seem to be as much anymore, but two of the three partners still are, and we are pushing together in that same direction. But this was not only about strengthening bilateral relations in the usual sense, two nations that have good relations and they're going, and let's see how we can deepen them or strengthen them. There was some tensions in our relationship. And we have mentioned this on the show, resulting primarily from certain politicians in Canada, particularly provincial premiers. Um, Looking at you, Danielle Smith, and Doug Ford. In particular, and a couple of other ones, casually suggesting several times at very inconvenient moments that we should just throw Mexico under the bus and pursue a bilateral trade relationship with the United States. Doug Ford, not too long before he suddenly decided that he would become Captain Canada, had actually suggested that in this round of talks, that we should throw Mexico on the bus, even going so, being so ham-fisted and uncoordinated politically to suggest out loud at U.S. relations when we both got slapped with the same amount of tariffs. Um, our Mexican friends were listening to that and were not impressed with that characterization of their country as a country that would be not desirable to be equated with. So yeah, a lot of people running their mouths for points on the domestic consumption side of their politics, being a little reckless about the impact of their words on the international scale. So part of this was strengthening relationships, but part of this was also applying some balm and some salve on a relationship that took a couple of hits due to some mindless um, interventions by Canadian elected officials. So pre-meeting, uh, there was, a situation, and like I said, this one I'm gonna that I've been mentioning about, and this one is going to be um, a bit of an audio clip here, but it is Carlo Dade, who's a trade expert, the director of international policy at the New North American Initiative at the School of Public Policy at the University of Calgary, who talks to us for a couple of minutes about the situation and the tensions here that existed with Mexico prior to the Prime Minister's visit. So I'm going to play that for you here in the sound. And I'm including the introduction to this because um, the introduction of it is from the time that President Sheinbaum was in Canada for the G7. If you remember when we hosted it in Kananaskis, the Prime Minister had specifically made a point to invite President Sheinbaum to the summit, and she played coy for a couple of days, not confirming whether or not she would come, and then eventually said that she would. Hopefully, obviously, hoping to play some type of role there, but also hoping probably to have a one-on-one bilateral or pull aside with Donald Trump on the second day. But that was not allowed to happen because Donald Trump decided he was going back to the United States to determine how it is he was going to help Israel bomb Iran, which, had its own set of consequences afterwards. But here we go, kids and cubs, from CBC's The Current last week. This is Mr. Dade explaining a little bit how things have gotten a little tense prior to this visit.
Hello, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is the Current Podcast. At the G7 summit in Kananaskis, Alberta in June, the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, handed Prime Minister Mark Carney an intricately beaded soccer ball.
This is wonderful, and this is an area where Mexico, Canada, and our third co-host,
yes, right.
the other president, we are totally aligned in our excitement, enthusiasm for the beautiful game and co-hosting in a sign of friendship. So thank you very much. This is wonderful. I'm going to put it right here.
Next year, Canada, Mexico, and the United States are hosting the Men's World Cup. It is an exercise in North American cooperation at a time when trilateral relations on the continent are seismically shifting. Tomorrow, Prime Minister Carney heads to Mexico to meet with Claudia Sheinbaum and talk trade. The goal is to shore up strained relations and strengthen ties between the two countries in the wake of U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. Carlo Dade is Director of International Policy and the new North America Initiative at the School of Public Policy at the University of Calgary. Carlo, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Good to have you back on the program. How would you describe at this moment the relationship between Mexico and Canada?
It's been, as it has been historically, there are periods of mild highs and mild lows. So the relationship continues along in a period of benign neglect, neither troubled nor really achieving its full potential. We're in one of those periods of benign neglect, but we're reactivating the relationship in the face of a pressing need that both countries have to deal with Donald Trump. So the trip is to make sure that things are okay as we gear up for another round of negotiating with Trump.
Some people have suggested that the trip is also just about damage repair. Last year, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, and the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, and the then Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, all called for a trade deal with the United States that would cut out Mexico. There were claims that Mexico was undercutting Canadian workers, kind of being a backdoor for Chinese imports. Doug Ford said, and these are his words, to compare us to Mexico is the most insulting thing I've ever heard. So how much damage does the Prime Minister have to repair?
Well, he's in luck that Danielle Smith beat him to Mexico by a bit, and she already started the damage repair. Unfortunately, we have Doug Ford still running around. But no, this is also historic. Canadians, governments, elected officials, not bureaucrats, tend to forget the importance of the relationship, how Mexico bailed us out during the last negotiations with Donald Trump over a North America agreement. So this is, again, historic. My take is, I'm a member of the Mexican Council of Foreign Relations, and we joke that, Canada just does this. So I think the Mexicans
You just said Canada just does this?
Yes, the Mexicans were hurt, but they weren't entirely surprised that elected officials in Canada, I think, would do this. We have a track record, at least on the elected side, of forgetting the importance of the relationship. That is somewhat facetious, but it does describe the nature of the relationship. There is that give and take.
How important is that relationship?
Hugely important, especially in the face of dealing with the Trump administration. I just mentioned that during the NAFTA negotiations, Mexico bailed us out. You may remember that CBC ran a story back in August during the negotiations. Headline, Trump announces deal with Mexico. We'll see if Canada can join. Canadians thought that Mexico threw us under the bus, but the reality was Mexico had been through the back door, quietly informing us of their negotiations with the U.S. We were totally prepared when Trump made the announcement, and we were able to salvage the situation. Steel and aluminum tariffs. Mexico managed to reach an agreement with the U.S., and the Mexican negotiator contacted Chrystia Freeland to advise her and prepare her to get the same deal out of the Trump administration. So time and again, even though we are frenemies on some issues, like genetically modified corn, potentially all those, in and out, at the end of the day, give and take everything, Mexico has been an invaluable ally, and especially last time we were dealing with Trump.
So there you go. A little bit of a history of how we got to this situation where there might have been a little more tension than one would expect in our relationship. I've always wondered why it is that we weren't better friends. And even though, Canada and Mexico have had diplomatic relations for over 80 years and free trade for 30, we never really maximized. We never took those 30 years to try to get much closer to Mexico. Given that it was sort of like, we have this free trade deal with the United States. Oh yeah, and Mexico's there too. We didn't really do anything to build on that, which we are doing now. This is work we should have started quite a while ago. And yes, someone in the chat, I think was Linda, mentioned that Chrystia Freeland had also at some point said some things that were a little unfortunate on that front. Now, of course, in that clip, they mentioned Danielle Smith had gone to Mexico soon after Anand and Champagne went. And I have to say, my initial fear was that she would do the same thing over there that she did in the United States, try to sell us out or betray us. But apparently, everything did go well. I saw clips from it, and it seems that she was engaged with them and a little more human than Danielle, as we've come to know her, and that everybody was rather happy that she had come, and that too helped lay the groundwork for this particular visit. So for the maybe first time on the show, props to Danielle Smith for having done something minimally helpful. Yay. Positive reinforcement. Keep doing that kind of stuff and not the stuff you're doing, please. But apparently she didn't go there to make things worse this time. So I guess we'll give her props for that. Um, it's not it's not often we get to give props to Danielle Smith, but there you go. It happens now and then. So yeah, this whole so we're building back, and in having invited President Sheinbaum to the G7 in this particular context was definitely a good step. All this additional activity between Canada and Mexico was a good step, and hopefully this is the beginning of a new thing, right? Mexico is a country with over 130 million people, and has an economy of over $4 trillion, right? Our economy is around 2.5 trillion. So the overall size of the economy is bigger, and there are more people. Um, the, and we have a free trade agreement with them. We've had one for a long time. There's absolutely no reason that we should not be doing lawful business like Mexico, like we are doing lawful business with the United States, and we just aren't. And that's something that definitely needs to change, because that's a good way to replace, some of the lost trade with Mexico. Like, for example, on steel, Mexico is affected by the steel tariffs, but I think we are a net exporter of steel, whereas Mexico is a net importer. Well, you know, um, Mexico might want to buy more Canadian steel that is now displaced rather than American if it's a net importer, right? There is part of our trade that we do with the United States that the United States doesn't claim to want anymore that could be just redirected to Mexico, if we are friendlier and talk more often. So, um, very interesting moves being made. Now, they met, and things appear to have gone very well during that meeting. Um, the prime minister made a point while he was there to thank Mexico and the president for the help of the firefighters who had come to Manitoba and Saskatchewan this summer, and also thanked her for the gift of the beaded soccer ball that was mentioned in the opening portion of the last clip that we showed, that we played, because there's no visual to it. But this one does have a visual, and you can see in this one here, Kits and Cubs, that the Prime Minister of Canada, um, in these moments, right, there's always the actual niceties that are said. So, thanking for the firefighters, thanking for the soccer ball, that type of stuff. These are niceties that come along, and they're helpful, right? They're the grease that smooth relations. But there was this particular nicety as well that the prime minister delivered, um, which is more directly to the president, and definitely you can see uh, uh, potentially, if you want to interpret it this way, and maybe not, but a little more balm or salve for the open wound that existed.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Thank you for the honor of receiving myself and my ministerial colleagues, our delegation here, the hospitality and the quality of the conversations and the spirit of action have been tremendous. I have to say I'm not surprised. When I was hosting the G7 earlier this year, my first invitation to a leader was to President Sheinbaum, as a reflection of the importance of the Canadian-Mexican relationship, but also the value of your leadership in your council. You did not disappoint at that meeting, and we all took many lessons from your words.
So there you go. Valuing not only the relationship with Mexico as a country, but the relationship that he is building with President Sheinbaum personally. Um, these types of public statements do go a long way. And it was good of our prime minister to have the presence of mind to make sure that he would go there in these remarks and definitely make that type of mention. So that is always a very good thing. Prime Minister, of course, known for having some particularly well honed diplomatic skills based on his time, you know, as he was the head of two central banks over the course of his pre-political career. Now, in this press availability, the Prime Minister talks about having updated the strategic partnership with Mexico. And here are a couple of things that he had to say about that part of our relationship.
At this hinge moment, Canada is deepening our relationships with our long-standing partners that share our values and aspire to a better, fairer, and more sustainable world. Mexico is central to those missions. And our agreement today will expand and deepen that partnership so that the next 30 years hold even greater promise than the last 30 years have delivered. Today, we're beginning a new era of elevated cooperation with a comprehensive strategic partnership. We will scale up our engagement in foreign affairs, in trade and investment, in agriculture, natural resources, in energy, finance, health, the environment, and public safety and security. Cela signifie une collaboration plus étroite et des résultats plus rapides dans les secteurs prioritaires pour faire croître nos économies.
So in French there, he just mentioned that this represents an even closer collaboration and more rapid results in the priority sectors to make our economies grow.
We've anchored this partnership in an action plan with 4 pillars: prosperity, security, inclusivity, and sustainability. It's our blueprint to build together. So for prosperity, we'll prioritize the development of strategic infrastructure, including ports, rail, trade, and energy corridors. We'll unlock new opportunities for trade and investment, from energy to agriculture to aerospace. We'll collaborate bilaterally and with the United States to reinforce the strong foundations of our economic integration and our regulatory cooperation, with a view to making North America remaining the most competitive region in the world. And we will strengthen the integration of our agri-food value chains and increase bilateral trade in safe and secure agricultural products. We'll also strengthen our model of controlled and predictable labor migration to meet the unique needs in agriculture, seafood, and processing sectors. As part of our new action plan, we will create a new bilateral security dialogue to combat transnational organized crime, human smuggling, and cybercrime. To promote inclusivity and well-being, we'll work together to foster economies grounded in fair, safe, and equitable work environments. And we'll enhance cooperation in health policy, including addressing health insecurity, infectious diseases, and substance abuse. Both President Sheinbaum and I and our citizens have long recognized that addressing climate change is both a moral duty and a commercial imperative. And accordingly, Canada and Mexico will deepen our cooperation in climate and conservation, with action to protect wildlife, reduce emissions, sustainably manage our freshwater resources. We'll explore cooperation opportunities in emission reductions, investments in renewables, and the development of smart grids. Now
here, kids and cubs, see what the broad outlines of the broader economic partnership and strategic partnership with Mexico could be areas related to climate change, areas related to law enforcement, of course, dealing with fentanyl. That's a little shout out to the United States that say, yeah, we still remember that you're pretending that this is a problem here for us from Canada. Right? Still engaging on that front, putting up paying the lip service or the appropriate lip service or whatnot. But all those elements of cooperation that we can have with Mexico on health, for example, as well. So these are future areas on which we might see some agreements, more precise agreements coming out. In due course over as this strategy unfolds over the upcoming months and years. Uh, Now, there are those four priorities that he mentioned, but in this next section, which is really interesting here, is that he talks about next steps flowing from this meeting. Because the last time we had a meeting, again, remember, Anand and Champagne went down, and then Pierre tried to frame it as a meeting that did nothing and that we were rebuffed and nothing came out of it. So, in an attempt to pre-butt this type of thing, the Prime Minister, uh, during this part of his address, makes sure to mention that the work doesn't stop here, that there is more to come. And not only is there more to come, but that more to come is planned.
It's a long list, but it's a subset of what we intend to do. So our ministers and our officials will begin work straight away. For example, our Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food will visit Mexico next month to discuss those opportunities in agricultural trade. Minister LeBlanc will lead a trade mission to Mexico shortly thereafter to build on immediate opportunities in trade and investment. And of course, in 9 months, the world's game will come to our continent. Canada, Mexico, and the United States co-hosting the World Cup. 48 nations, 16 cities, millions of fans, biggest tournament in history. Now, it's a little new for Canada. For Mexico, it's a return to greatness. Your third time hosting the World Cup after 2 tournaments filled with iconic moments. Pelé lifting the Jules Rimet Trophy in the Azteca. Maradona scoring one of 2 goals of the century in '86. The hand of God scoring the other. The economic boost from the World Cup will go far beyond the field. In Canada alone, it will add $2 billion to our economy. It will build infrastructure that will last long after the last whistle.
So again, kids and cubs, as you can see, the next steps being mentioned, agriculture as being another sector where there can be some future cooperation, but dates are already scheduled for this. And of course, a little return to some more diplomatic flattery, talking about, soccer is never a bad thing when you are in Mexico, talking about Mexico returning to greatness as a host of major soccer tournaments, and then being able to speak about some very key moments in those soccer tournaments, therefore showing knowledge beyond the fact that they actually just hosted it, but going back and reviving some happy memories or memories that would make a lot of soccer fans smile. Never a bad diplomatic move here. So some very skilled comments and kudos to the people who did the research and decided to include these elements, the speechwriters in particular, in this case, because those are some pretty solid moves when you're looking to send the message that we are in a new situation and that we are sincerely looking at improving things, and this for the long term. Now, here, uh, kids and cubs, through translation, of course, there's going to be a little couple minutes of comments, about a minute or so, from the president of Mexico on her view of the Mexican Canadian relationship, so that you can get an idea how it is. Mexico is speaking about us, and not only just us speaking about Mexico.
prosperity, of course. The relationship between our two countries is not just an institutional relationship, or it's not just a commercial trade relationship. It is deeply human relationship. That's what it is. We're united by migrant families, students, indigenous communities who share roots and traditions, as well as the commitment of peoples for peace, equity, and solidarity at the international level. I want to express, on behalf of the Mexican people today, our appreciation, our gratefulness for the goodwill of Prime Minister Carney to strengthen this relationship and to continue building a common future that will be making our friendship even stronger. We trust that the agreements we've reached today will have continuity, will bear concrete fruits short term. Mexico and Canada will continue walking together with mutual respect and with the certainty that cooperation is the path to overcome any challenge of our time. Thank you very much.
So there you go. Definitely, making the case here that the relationship between Canada and Mexico is more than just commercial. There's a very human relationship there. There's been a lot of focus specifically on the tourism industry, given the number of Canadians who are traveling to Mexico and the number of Canadians who, in recent times, have made different travel choices, as in away from the United States, and have decided to include Mexico, and Mexico stating and making it very clear that this is something that they would appreciate and would like to continue, and therefore, with regard to things like how much they're going to invest in that particular portion of the relationship is definitely going to continue, and not only in terms of tourism, but also when it comes for work visas and that type of accreditation between Canada, Mexico and Canada, that there would be no changes coming forward to that to make it more complicated or burdensome or in any way, shape, or form, that the system appears to be working well and that they do intend to maintain that. The last little bit that I have from this conference has to do with both of the leaders, if I remember correctly, thoughts about the projected growth of the economic relationship between Canada and Mexico, because even though our trade is increasing, it's not extremely significant, and it should be more significant than it is. And it seems that both of them have now appeared to agree that this should definitely be the case, and that they should be working to it. So there has been, like I said, lots of growth, but this type of growth needs to continue at those speeds, if not faster, in order to make this relationship that we have between two nations, and for all intents and purposes, we've pretty much been friendly. I don't remember any time in my life where we had some type of major beef with Mexico. So this is something that would definitely be to our advantage, and recent events in the United States have made that very clear to us as well. I believe here in this section. All right.
Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you.
Me permiten, por favor,
If you allow me, with the plan you presented this afternoon, I wanted to know what's the exchange of merchandise between both nations, and what percentage do you think it will be increasing short-term or medium-term, as President Sheinbaum just explained? And we also know you met with business communities, with the businessmen and women. Amounts, could we get some amounts of committed investment for the following years, or whatever the agreement includes?
So, look, we take a bit of a different view of the relationship, the economic relationship between the countries. We take a view of how can we help our citizens? How can we adjust regulation? How can we make sure our tax regimes, our tariff regimes, our trading regimes sharing of information, talent. How can we do all that? And then we trust in the outcome. So, for example, over the 30 years of trade, free trade, Canada's trade with Mexico has gone up 10 times. I don't know exactly how much more it'll go up with the measures we'll take or the investment, which is measured in the tens and tens of billions of dollars. We're not requiring amounts of investment. We're creating the conditions for significant investment. But what I do know is this, that the scale and depth of what we're agreeing to and what we intend to implement, and I'll speak for Mexico, also for Canada, the scale of the domestic ambition, Plan Mexico, Canada Strong, is such that we would expect much greater amounts of trade, much greater amounts of investment to build over the coming 30 years than we've seen over the last 30 years. Because our economies are that much closer, our values are aligned, and our ambitions are greater. Thank you.
No tengo mucho más que
I
agregar.
don't have much to
En el
add.
marco del tratado comercial que
Within the
tenemos
framework of the
México,
free trade
Estados Unidos y
agreement
Canadá,
we
o
have
Canadá, Estados
among
Unidos y
Mexico, the U.S. and
evidentemente se
Canada,
fortalecen nuestras
the
economías y
U.S.
buscamos mayor
and
inversión
Mexico,
y
our
mayor
economies are being strengthened. We want more
todas
investment,
maneras,
more
lo que
trade, of
acordamos
course.
es que
At
en
any
términos de
rate, what
nuestra
we agreed
relación
was that in
bilateral,
terms of the bilateral
aumenten las
relationship,
inversiones y también
investment
el
should
comercio
increase
en
and
distintas
also
áreas.
trade in
¿Cuánto
different
puede llegar a
areas.
aumentar?
Now,
Pues
how
es
much
parte
can
de lo
it
que vamos
increase? This is
a
part of
trabajar en
what
estos
we're going to
meses.
be working on
Y
in
lo que es
these
muy
following
importante, y
months.
además
And the important
agradezco
thing, and I am
enormemente al ministro
enormously
Carney,
appreciate
porque
and want to thank
hablamos
Prime
muy
Minister Carney,
abiertamente,
because
no,
we're
sí
very
fue una
open in our
reunión
conversation.
protocolaria,
It
pero
was a
sobre todo fue
protocol
una
meeting,
reunión de trabajo.
but it was especially a
Y
working
eso
meeting. And
fortalece la
that
relación
strengthens
México-Canadá,
the Mexico-Canada
el
relationship,
desarrollo económico de
the
nuestros
economic
países
development of
para
our
el bienestar de
countries
nuestros
for the
pueblos.
well-being of our peoples.
Thank you very much.
Agradecemos a todas y todos su amable
Thank you,
asistencia. La
everyone,
conferencia
for
de
your
prensa
kind
conjunta ha
attendance,
terminado.
this joint press conference.
So there you have it, kits and cubs. Some insights from both leaders as to the future growth of the economy. Of course, the journalist in question was asking for some specific numbers, where we are and how much do they expect it to grow. Both of them didn't want to go down that path, but making clear that the stage has definitely been set for this to increase, and not that it hasn't been increasing already. According to Kit PNC Biohoyer, he included in the chat, in 2024, total two-way merchandise trade between Canada and Mexico was about $56 billion. If that's merchandise trade, I'm guessing that there's probably also some trade in services, I would assume, as well, that gets added to that. But like I said, 56 billion with Mexico, and can't remember off the top of my head what it is with the United States, but substantially larger. So there's definitely more that we can do, especially again in a nation with 130 million people with a $4 trillion economy that is also growing relatively rapidly. There's definitely more ways that we can help each other with our mutual growth here. And exactly, somebody here had made a comment. I wish I could remember off the top of my head who had it, but growing Canada taking part in helping to grow the Mexican market so that its population base can be a consumer base for more of our products, which is a strategy similar to what the United States used for the past 70 years. It's either Kit Linder or Kit PNC Bio who made that comment. But also, yes, very accurate, very astute observations from you on that front. That does indeed seem to be where this is heading, particularly when you listen to the last comment from President Sheinbaum, who said that it was, looks like it was intending to be strictly a protocol meeting, but ended up being quite the working meeting as well. So it would seem that the protocol part went so well that they were able to get on to a deeper business than might have been originally on the agenda, which is very, very, very good. Here we have Kit PNC Bio. In 2022, bilateral services trade between Canada and Mexico was about US dollars 5.7 billion. So different, slightly different time dates, but you can see that services. Let's say we assume those numbers are in the same year, about a tenth of the merchandise trade. And hopefully that is growing as well. There you go, kits and cubs. So that's with the relationship with Mexico. Clearly, very far from being snubbed, as Pierre Poliev would want us to believe is the case. Um, Far from being snubbed. In fact, it looks like the work is agreed to and will be speeding up and accelerating, and that both nations see an advantage at this particular point in time in becoming much closer friends than we have been. Now, the Prime Minister was not only in Mexico lately, but is currently in New York City for the UN General Assembly. And yesterday, as we mentioned on the show, that the Prime Minister would be delivering some remarks to the Council on Foreign Relations. And there are moments that when the Prime Minister speaks, um, because of the way that he does speak, um, makes us particularly proud. Just makes us particularly proud. And this is such a moment here for me. The Prime Minister definitely knows what he's talking about. And this presentation, when I'm listening to it, because he's delivering it in New York and in the manner in which he's speaking, I'm realizing as it's going on that the Prime Minister is essentially pitching Canada to the world here. Right. So this is the type of interview. He starts with an address, and then he's asked a couple of questions by someone who's on stage, and then questions start coming from the audience, from media and the audience. But a lot of people have been critiquing or criticizing the Prime Minister for not sitting down, with CTV and doing a 26-minute interview like Pierre did over the course of the weekend, which didn't end up working out well for him because it was disastrous, because he had nothing but BS. But the Prime Minister has substance, and being able to go through the plan with more detail, or be able to ask about specific elements so that Canadians can get a better sense, right? Because again, social marketing says you need to be exposed to a message, 7 to 11 times. It's not good enough for the Prime Minister to just go to a mic, to one podium once and say, "Here's my plan." I'm going to say it once, and now you will understand where I'm going, and you will all get it. Won't need further explanation. Here we go. It's not how it works. It's an extra. When you're in the boardroom, you might only have to say it once, and everybody says yes and goes ahead. But in the public sphere, you got to be saying it over and over and again, several times, different ways, different imagery, and to create the narrative that brings people along with your plan and gets the buy-in. Right? Those of us who are political geeks and love strategy and whatnot and see the pieces coming together are more likely to buy in way more earlier than people who are just sitting at home and don't have the time or don't have the inclination to listen to a whole 1 hour presentation. There needs to be these elements need to be packaged in different ways and repeated over again. And people need to be shown how the pieces are fitting together so that they can get a sense of the overall strategy. It's not just enough to know that the Prime Minister has a PhD and that he's brilliant. You do have to bring people along. So, in this address to the Council on Foreign Relations, there are 3 particular segments to his address that are very important. And remember, he's the audience for this one. Normally, when somebody speaks, it's for domestic consumption. This one, even though we get to see it, this clearly is not only for domestic consumption. This really is for consumption by the international markets. So this is the Prime Minister selling the world on Canada, starting with the 3 reasons for which he believes that Canada will be able to thrive despite the fact that the current economy being pretty much turned on its head by the President of the United States. So just going to make sure that everything here is lined up for you, kits and cubs. Yes. Oh, is it? I'm not seeing on the screen yet, so I will. There's a bit of a 30-second delay between the time I talk and the time things appear on screen. So I'm just going to stretch for some time. There it is. Okay, I do see that the thing is on screen. So here we go, kits and cubs. The Prime Minister.
Relied. So, what do we do about it? And I'm going to give you a punchline, which is we think we can thrive, and I choose that word advisedly, thrive in this new non-system, or the system that's evolving, for three reasons. And the first is we have what the world wants. Take on the energy side, we are an energy superpower. That is going to become increasingly evident. 85% of our energy is clean. We're one of the world's largest LNG exporters, one of the largest reserves of oil and gas. We measure additions to our grid in 10 gigawatt chunks, to put it in perspective, and you will see that with time. We are top 5 in 10 of the world's most important critical minerals. 40% of the world's listed mining companies are in Canada, to give a perspective there. We are a leading developer of AI, and our research universities are some of the biggest producers in volume of AI, computing, and quantum talent in the world. Unfortunately, most of them go to the United States. I understand you're changing your visa policy here, so I'm going to hang on to a few of those. We have capital. Our pension funds are some of, if not the most sophisticated infrastructure investors in the world, with all due respect to Larry Fink. And our government, we were talking about him earlier. I have lots of respect for Larry Fink, I should say that. And we have a government that still has fiscal capacity to act decisively at a moment when governments need to act decisively. Now, the second reason why I'd say we have good prospects, not assured prospects, but good prospects, is we have values to which much of the world, not all of the world, much of the world still aspires. We're a pluralistic society that works. Our cities are amongst the most diverse in the world. Public square is loud, diverse, and free. We, by the nature of our federation, we have to practice collaboration and partnership, and it's a country that is still committed to sustainability. And the third reason why I'm going to argue we can thrive in this time is we recognize what's going on. This is not a transition, this is a rupture. This is a sharp change in a short period of time, driven by a variety of factors. We have a determination to rise up and meet this. And this is I'm going to give you one last set of threes, and then we'll have our conversation.
So I'm going to stop it here for this moment. So here the Prime Minister making it clear that it is possible to thrive for various reasons, right? We have what everybody needs. We do have a climate where varied and diverse in speech can occur. And of course, this latter point that he is making here. And of course, Prime Minister likes lists of threes. So he's going to go into the next one here. And this part of his pitch, where we're going into, is for international consumption, but this one is a little bit for domestic consumption, in the sense that when I'm listening him to say this part, and basically this part is him listing all the things that we have done so far, it's more like a, take that, Pierre, because in a succinct little package of a couple of minutes, here are all the things that he's done. And now he is going to the world and saying, we've been busy for the past little while. We've done this. Huh? How do you like us now? Huh? If you liked our ankles before, maybe you'll like our calves. Huh? We looking good? So here we go. And as a Canadian, I'm listening to this with two ears. The first ear is like, yeah, way to sell us on the international stage. And the other one is, yeah, take that, Pierre. You've been saying that nothing's been going on. Well, let's prove you wrong.
Our response to this is to build strength at home, to build resilience by diversifying abroad, and pursue a variable geography to defend our values and pursue our interests. So just on strength at home, I can understand if you were distracted by events down here and you haven't followed exactly everything we've been doing in the last 4 months. But while you were otherwise occupied, we've cut tax incomes and capital gains. We have removed all barriers to interprovincial trade. We have passed landmark legislation to fast track literally hundreds of billions of dollars of projects in energy, in AI, in critical minerals, in new trade corridors. We are doubling our defense spending by 2030. Our core capabilities with respect to defense, AI, quantum, cyber, critical minerals, provide unique opportunities for dual use and economic benefit, and we intend to fully exploit those. We are diversifying our trading relationships and our security partnerships. We signed the most comprehensive agreement with the European Union from a non-European Union member. The Economic and Security Partnership with the EU, we signed that at the end of June. We're working on fleshing that out now. We will be, or we are on track, I should choose my words more diplomatically, we are on track to be a full member of SAFE, the European Defence Arrangement, which allows us to diversify and accelerate our defense procurement. This week, what day is Monday? Last week, yes. Seemed to miss the weekend in the middle, but we agreed a comprehensive approach within the context of USMCA, but a comprehensive approach with Mexico to deepen our bilateral trading relationships, and we are pursuing more aggressive strategies throughout Asia. My last of my threes is around that variable geography. I'll just give a couple of examples of where we're active. The Coalition of the Willing for Ukraine, we are the largest contributor on a per capita basis to Ukraine. Okay. And we, well, I won't go into more detail. We can talk about Ukraine if you wish. When you think about our Arctic sovereignty, that we are cooperating very closely with the Nordic Baltic 8 for physical protection up there, economic development, and also defending NATO's western flank. We are active with like-minded parties in efforts to promote a two-state solution and Middle East peace. Not the easiest thing to do, I know. And I'll make one other point on critical minerals. We, out of the G7, are forming buyers clubs for critical minerals so that the world can diversify away from Chinese dominance from them. So it's not just the supply, but it's having that secure access to capital or an offtake, basically, so these can be developed. And I'll just.
So there you go, kits and cubs. So while Pierre's been run around the country stating that the Prime Minister has done nothing, is pretending that he's bigger than he is just an empty suit, has a lot of activity, but is not making any achievements. Well, here's a list of achievements and how we are reorienting things. Also, of course, notice the additional applause upon making it clear that per capita, no nation is doing more in Ukraine than is Canada, and how in that particular room that is especially appreciated, particularly in an environment where it seems that the United States of America is pulling back. Now here, kits and cubs, this is the part that impresses me the most about his address is when he gets in this section, you will see what his final pitch is. You ask the question, you've got 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to pitch Canada to the world. What would you say? And when I'm listening to this, I'm trying to imagine Pierre Poilievre do the same thing. And I cannot imagine him doing it or being able to, because the prime minister's advantage on this front is that the prime minister is saying to the world what it is he's been saying to us and making his pitch to us for the changes that he needs to make. Whereas here in Canada, Canada's abusive boyfriend, Pierre, who never misses an opportunity to tell us how we are ugly and fat and stupid and how nobody else will ever love us because we have nothing that they could possibly need because everything about us is broken and he's the only one who will actually love us. So we should elect him because, well, we have no other choice. Who else would want us? That makes it very hard for him to be going on the international stage and say, Canada is a wonderful place. You should come and invest here because, well, digital is forever and so is the internet. And everybody he's talking to on the international stage can see him every single day, trashing us to ourselves. Our prime minister does not do that. So therefore, when he is going on the international stage and making this pitch, it is more credible. And I cannot imagine Pierre having to say this many positive things about Canada in a short period of time without actually breaking into a severe case of hives, considering the amount of disdain that he apparently has for us as a nation and for 2/3 of its citizens, because we are not conservative enough. But this is the Prime Minister being entirely consistent and coherent with everything he says domestically while making his pitch internationally.
Say a word before I finish that having chaired the G7 this year, I came into government 6 weeks before it was there, so we didn't have Mike Froman. We had very good Sherpa, but we didn't have Mike Froman, so we had a lot of work to do. It was a very interesting, and this is a variable geometry support point. When we had 2 days, the first day, core G7, focused on a variety of issues, very productive. President Trump was there for that day. And these were good meetings. These were good discussions, a good meeting. There was progress made. Not everything landed, but it's never the case that everything lands. It was fairly narrowly focused, though, on economics with Iran thrown in. There's always a crisis, Iran thrown in as well. The next day, with the leaders of most of the BRICS countries, some of the largest emerging economies, Australia as well, not an emerging economy, but others like those, the focus was on what this room would recognize as old multilateralism, global commons, where we're cooperating on energy, what we can do to actually develop on critical minerals, financing for development, what's going to happen at COP. Lula was there as well. That doesn't mean that's the way the world's working. I'm not naive about that, but there is a substantial proportion of the world that focuses on these issues. A country like Canada is one of them, and it's one that it's something we will continue to do because it comes back into our strengths. Look, I'll sum up. I would ask you to, when you think about Canada, actually that's my request, think about Canada. As a strong, sovereign, independent nation, think about Canada as that. But there is a big opportunity in this shifting in Canada. We understand what's going on. We understand the scale of the response that's required. We have the resources the world needs. We have the talent to turn that potential into growth. We're a reliable partner. We're connected more than anyone else through trading relationships with any other part of the world. And we're no longer relying on just the strength of our values, but the value of our strength with your help. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the discussion.
So there you have it, Canada The last little bit of that was the pitch, the 2 minutes or less pitch on how he would sell Canada to the world. And like I said, I just don't see Pierre being able to make that same type of commentary unfortunately for us, because we deserve both. The leaders of all our parties should be people in whom we trust and in whom we have confidence that when it comes the time to go on to the international stage and pitch Canada, that they are able to do it in a manner that would be effective and convincing. And currently, we don't have that from at least one of our two major parties, which is a shame. That should be a basic requirement that we are asking of the people who seek to lead us. All right, kits and cubs. That is what I have for you from that event. There's a portion in the question and answer that I have that I might be able to bring to you in another episode. Would just be a longer statement, and at this moment, I have to make sure that I close the show till I'm able to see my doctor. Haha. So, kits and cubs. However, when you are looking at that, and I saw the comment in the chat, I think it was from Kit PNC Bio, that it seems that pretty much every comment with regard to what the Prime Minister had done at the Council on Foreign Relations had something to do with Canadians being proud of having a Prime Minister who can represent us that well on the international stage. And you will also see that in these segments, the Prime Minister, again, definitely not afraid to make some use of humor and even some self-deprecating humor along the way. Also, something I just cannot see Pierre doing. He tries when he makes the joke about like how such a lovely woman such as Anna could have ended up with a schmuck like him. And yeah, he does have a point. But but it's not the same, right? It smacks of false humility when you see everything else that comes after, right? That impression that Blanchet said, he says he hopes that Stornoway has a lot of mirrors so that Pierre can look at himself speaking whenever he has the chance, because he sure likes to get off on that. Again, the Prime Minister's demeanor, disposition, words, overall through line of what it is that he has to say is remarkably consistent, whether or not he's on the international scene or speaking domestically. And that's one thing that we look for if you want to know that you have someone who is being ideologically purposeful in hopefully a positive manner in this case. But yes, that part seems to be very clear. We don't have to wonder if the Prime Minister is saying different things when he goes abroad than what he says domestically. They are framed differently, they are packaged differently for different audiences, but it's still the same core message, and it's consistent with the domestic message is consistent with the international message, which is very good. And it's that's something we should be looking for in our leaders when we have them. All right, kits and cubs, that is the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. And also remembering from the Kits and Cubs chat yesterday, I'm hoping that my eyes didn't look as sleepy today, because yesterday I did indeed have some rather sleepy eyes. I was looking at the video again afterwards, and yeah, I was tired. It was a short night, so those of you who noticed did pick up accurately that I was indeed a little sleepy yesterday on the show. Kits and Cubs. So, like I said, share our content. We really appreciate it. And if you would like us to help you because you might be on the go and too busy to watch the live show, hey, that's all right. Take us with you, because thanks to the Ray Girl, we are now Well, we have been for a while, but portable. So scan that QR code and that will bring you to our pod page. And if you're listening but still have not yet subscribed, that's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you click the subscribe button there, when we have an audio cast, it comes fresh off the bandwidth and zip right into your favorite podcast feed, waiting for you to pick us up and take us with you. That way you can take on the day and remain informed. We like to help. Now, kids and cubs, if you would like to help us, then please grab your e-surfboard and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where, yes, kids and cubs, sometime last night we did hit 25,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, kids and cubs, for everything that you do to make that happen. Again, when you share our content, Kit Uncover, all the things that you do to help promote the show, Kit Andy, all the suggestions that you've made for interview guests, and even I think there's somebody else that I'm forgetting, even pre-talking to people and sending us email contacts saying that, you've already greased the wheels for us if we would like to take advantage of these opportunities. All of it matters. Trust me, it saves a lot of legwork for us when you help us in that matter, and we really do appreciate. We are grateful for all of your contributions, whether they be in just positive words, tips, donations, guest suggestions, promotional stuff that you do. Hey, we like this, watch this. All of it, every little bit has helped to bring us to this point. We are grateful for what you have done, because you don't have to do it. We haven't asked you. Well, I mean, I guess we do ask you to share our stuff, but you've taken on so much initiative on your own. Whoops. That is my phone reminding me that it's time to get ready. But this is, initiatives that you've taken on your own. The kids that have started the Discord channel as well. If you are here on the chat and you want the DAMFAM fun continues after the show. After the show ends, there's a whole community out there that keeps talking and sharing information, recipes, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. If you want to join the community there after the show, please do. They've put a lot of work into it. And like I said, we have no part in this, Oliver. This is just all DAMFAM led. And again, we could not be more honored that you think enough of us to create another space to keep this positive DAMFAB vibe going when there isn't a show. Thank you. Thank you. All of it just warms my heart. And Mr. Grizzly would definitely say the same, I am sure. All right, kids and cubs, if you would like to help us, yes, please go to our YouTube page and click on our buttons, like, share, and subscribe, like over 25,100 of you have already. So blessed and so fortunate. We had hoped that we could grow this big, but weren't particularly sure that it could happen. And thanks to you, you're helping to make our dreams come true. So let's see where we can take this baby. All right. And thank you. If you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, you can do so by making a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund via our coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, because a moist beaver is a happy beaver. And your toonies and loonies that you drop into do a lot to keep your favorite beaver moist. Yum, 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 yum. All right, kids and cubs. Let's see. Because democracy is something that you do, forever-canadian.ca. Please go there to either volunteer, become a canvasser, donate to the organization so that it can continue its activities, or to find out where your latest pop-up location is to sign that. Remember also, kids and cubs, ourcommons.ca, petition E-6679 on ethical issues. That's a petition to try to bring more honesty to our federal politics and have a way to hold MPs accountable. 21,756 signatures so far. Let's keep this going. Let's see if we can maybe get it to even 100,000, and that way it would definitely be undeniable. We definitely have to pay much attention to that. But already 21,000 is very significant, because these types of petitions usually don't generate that much activity to start with. So thank you, kids and cubs, but yeah, keep sharing it. Let's get more signatures. Let's make this something that the government absolutely has to pay attention to. All right. And let's see, what else was there? I'm just going to do those two for today. Oh, yes. Provincial election in Newfoundland and Labrador, of course. Do all the things that you need to do there and make sure that you plan your vote. Right. Words of wisdom. Um, I don't really have any other than don't be late for your doctor's appointment. So there you go. Kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. I will not have an Easter egg because I have to go. But at the count of three, if I may hear you say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock, and I will give you my amour and bisous right away. And I will see you tomorrow. So at the count of three, 1, 2, and 3. That is perfect send off for me to go have my first appointment with the doctor. You've asked so nicely, so I must oblige. See you tomorrow, everyone. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.